Hello guys, Victor Isibo here. This video is titled The Hall of Shame of Ponzi. Now, Ponzi scheme participation and investing is becoming a problem. And for you to be able to solve a problem, for instance, if you go to a hospital and you tell a doctor about a particular health challenge, the doctor is interested in your medical history. So if I'm to help you with your Ponzi challenge, let me acquaint you with the history of your problem, Ponzi schemes. Okay, recently in Nigeria, a bill was passed proposing a 10-year jail term to promoters of Ponzi schemes. Okay, now you see Ponzi scheme promotion, participation is not a little problem. Okay, promoting the Ponzi scheme in my country could send you to jail. So it's a big issue that we need to talk about. I made a video some few days ago. You'll find it in the card above. I talked about the challenge of two vices, Ponzi and gambling, and the effect it's having on the teeming population of our youth. And that video was quite engaging. Go and watch it. You find it in the card above, and I also leave it at the end screen. Today, we want to specifically talk about Ponzi schemes. A lot of people come and challenge me in the comment section when I tell them, when I do a review and I say, this is most likely a Ponzi scheme. I've interacted with a lot of Ponzi schemes and I'm well grounded and knowledgeable when it comes to analyzing and giving a feedback whether or not something is a Ponzi scheme. Now, those that are in the comment section challenging me, you don't know what you're saying, this is not a Ponzi scheme and all that, let us have a challenge today. Let's see who knows Ponzi better between you and I. Okay, now we're going to do the Hall of Shame of Ponzi. In this video, I am going to be acquainting you with the top 5-star generals of Ponzi, the people that brought Ponzi into this world. The first person to run Ponzi, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And at the end of the video, I am going to tell you that, okay, of all these 5 of them, which one is the holiest of the 5? Okay, of all these 5 unholy set of people, which of them is the holiest? Which of them is the most brilliant? And I'm going to tell you the attributes that makes each one of these Ponzi schemers and fraudsters stand out. Okay, if I were to ask you, who is the first person to run a Ponzi scheme? A lot of people, 50% of you don't know. Then the rest 50% that know a little, they are going to say Charles Ponzi. Why? Because the rob Peter to pay Paul modus operandi was named after him. So they assume that he was the first to do it. Then you would be wrong. Now, let me introduce you to the first person to run a Ponzi scheme. Adele. Adele. Come on now. It's been centuries you did what you did. Nobody's going to arrest you here. Come on, Adele, come. See this lady? Adele Spitzer, a German actress and singer. She later became a scammer when the money from acting and singing was not coming as it used to come. Okay, this is the first person to run a Ponzi scheme on record. They say what a man can do, a woman can do what? Do better. This lady created a private bank in the year 1869. 1869, she created a private bank. She was robbing Peter to pay Paul, promising people juicy returns on their investments. Okay, 32,000 people, this woman scammed them. 32,000 people lost money to her Ponzi scheme. How long did she run her Ponzi scheme for? 3 years. 1869, 1870, 1871, 1872, she was caught by the authorities and thrown into jail. This woman was thrown into jail for 4 years. 1876, she came out of jail, stretched her body, relaxed for 4 years. She did not do anything. She relaxed. Okay, in 1880, she tried to launch another private bank, another Ponzi scheme. The authorities caught up with her again. She was rearrested. Okay, eventually she died on the 28th of October, 1895. God bless her soul. A Ponzi general indeed. She fought a good fight. Go now. she fought a very good fight. You know, she was never married. You know, she had no children on record. She was a lesbian. Okay, so that woman was the first person to run a Ponzi scheme. The second person to run a Ponzi scheme, it was not even Charles Ponzi. Leave Charles alone. It was not Charles Ponzi. It was Sarah Howe, another woman. Yes, fear women. Another woman is the second person in history to run a Ponzi scheme. And this was in the year 1879 in Boston. She was a fortune teller. You know, later she decided, you know, to delve into the world of Ponzi. Now she opened a female focused bank, savings bank. She called it the Ladies Deposit Company. This particular bank would accept deposits from only ladies. Okay, single ladies, not married ladies. You know, she came using the feminist format. You know, single ladies, you know, you don't have any man paying your bills, so this particular opportunity is for you so that you can be making money. And she was offering 8% profit per month. 8% profit per month. Okay, now over 1,200 accounts were opened and over $500,000 was deposited. $500,000 way back in 1879. Okay, now what was our strategy? Our strategy was that you cannot touch your capital. Okay, you cannot withdraw your capital. You can only withdraw the 8% appreciation on your money on a monthly basis. You know, once your capital is in, you don't have access to it, just be taking off the profit. Gives her the opportunity to conveniently Ponzify the system because there was liquidity in the system. Capiche? You understand. Now, how was she apprehended? Boston Advertiser newspaper. Back then, you know, you had investigative journalism at its best. You know, they started being curious. Boston Advertiser newspaper. They started being curious. They started investigating. What is going on? How is this woman, Sarah Howe, generating 8% appreciation of the deposits of people? How? The economic realities of the United States as at that time could not make economists to be able to understand how she was doing it. Okay? The thing became so widespread. She opened another office in Massachusetts. Okay, that's to tell you that she was making a whole lot of money. Now, for the Boston Advertiser newspaper people to even gain access to the bank was a challenge. One of their men had to dress like a woman to be able to enter and started asking questions. Okay, now she was arrested and she was sent to jail for 3 years. Okay, and later she was released in the year 1884. Then she opened another Ponzi scheme again. She opened another Ponzi scheme again. This time she called it the Women's Bank. She was done with the single ladies. Now let's talk about, let's make it more general. The Women's Bank. Whether you're single, whether you're married or in a relationship, you're welcome to invest. And this one was paying 7% returns per month. She was caught again and jailed again. Later, she went back to fortune telling because she was a fortune teller. She died broke in the year 1892, January 26. Now, this is her timeline. She ran her Ponzi scheme from 1879 to 1881. Then she was in jail from 1881 to 1884. Then she died January 26, 1892. Salute, Sarah Howe. You were a legend and you take the second place in our Ponzi Hall of Shame. Okay, now in our Ponzi Hall of Shame, coming in at number 3, yes, is your favorite, the one you all know. None other than Charles Ponzi. This man popularized rob Peter to pay Paul. That is how come they named it after him. It's not as if he was the first to do it. No, it went viral during his time, you know, in 1920. Now, he was promising 50% returns in 45 days. That means you could get 100% appreciation of your money in just 3 months, 90 days. You know, you could get 100%. Now, when they ask him, how do you generate these returns? This is one thing about Ponzi schemers. They cannot explain to you in detail how they generate the money. You know, they can't make it make sense. They get stuck while trying to explain it. You know what they now do? They'll tell you, if I tell you my strategy, if I disclose my strategy, my competitors, they'll go and do the same thing too. Don't worry, just give me the money. Is it not money you want? I'll give you your returns. Don't investigate too much. I don't want to let out my secrets. When they asked Charles Ponzi, how do you generate 100% returns on investment in 90 days? He said he was into postage stamp arbitrage. You guys are used to crypto arbitrage. Now they are using crypto arbitrage to scam you now. Postal coupon was what Charles Ponzi was using to scam people. He said postal stamp arbitrage, you know, he buys it from other countries for cheaper. Then he comes to sell it for higher in the United States of America, you know, and all that. And he ran his scheme for well over a year. Okay. And, you know, the scheme eventually collapsed with $20 million of hard-earned money of people. $20 million in 1920. Oh. If you're an economist, try to equate it to what it would be today. Okay? So he was arrested several times. Several times Charles Ponzi was in and out of jail. You know, at a particular point in time, you know, the first time he went to jail, it was on a 86-count charge. You know, as soon as he was released, few years afterwards, he was rearrested again because he was jailed for, I think, 20 of those charges, remaining 60-something. So he was rearrested. At a particular point in time, he had no lawyer to stand for him because he had no money to pay the legal fees of any lawyer. So in court, you know, he stood as his own lawyer. And one of these particular times he appeared in court, he was discharged and acquitted. Why? Because he stood as his own lawyer. He was able to manipulate and confuse the jury. You see, the same way he was manipulating people to invest money with him. This man stood and defended himself. He was almost crying. The whole jury, they were like, oh, they fell for him. They said discharged and acquitted. He got home. Few months afterwards, they grabbed him again for another count charge. So the man was always in and out of jail. Eventually, he died in penury. He died as a very, very poor man. Okay, so this is a honorable mention because you cannot talk about Ponzi scheme without mentioning the man himself whose name was coined into the whole modus operandi. The entire scheme was named after him. So we cannot but respect him and mention him for all that he has done to the world of Ponzi schemes. Number 3, Hall of Shame in Ponzi, Charles Ponzi. May his soul, R.I.P., rest in Ponzi. Now we're going to talk about number 4 in the Hall of Shame. You see, I decided to wear my cap to talk about this man. Because as soon as I mention his name, I have to doff my hat. I don't have a hat, but let me doff my cap for him. He is none other than Bernie Madoff. You see, Madoff. There is Doff in his name. So when you hear Bernie Madoff, doff your heart. Dude was a genius. No jokes. Dude was a genius. He ran the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. And in this video, I am going to analyze some of the strategies that made his Ponzi scheme the most successful Ponzi scheme ever. First of all, this was a highly reputable man. When it comes to finances, talk about money, this man had the reputation. He used his good reputation in a very negative way. You see, when you are in a position where when you speak, a position of authority, when you speak, people listen. He decided to leverage on his influence in the financial affairs of the United States of America. He leveraged on it to fleece people and scam people. Okay, it is recorded that in that Ponzi that he ran, a total of about $65 billion was lost to his Ponzi. Okay, he ran the Ponzi for several decades, although some records say 17 years. But, you know, other records say that it was longer than that he ran that Ponzi scheme for. Now, who was Bernie Madoff? He was the chairman of NASDAQ, the second biggest stock exchange market in the US. He was the chairman of NASDAQ. He was an investment advisor, a professional investment advisor, and he was a qualified stockbroker. Now, he started this company called Bernie L. Madoff Investment Securities. Now, listen. Bernie L. Madoff Investment Securities had two units. Listen carefully. It had the stock brokerage unit and it had the asset management unit. Now, the stock brokerage unit was legit. Now, the asset management arm was the scam. Okay, so now if the stock brokerage unit of the company, their stock was listed in the stock exchange market, yeah, legitimately. But, you know, the asset management arm of the company was offering higher returns than the stock brokerage unit. So when you want to invest with Bernie Madoff Investment Securities, if you're a greedy kind of person, there's a tendency that you move towards the asset management side. Yes, the Ponzi side, because you want more money. Yeah. Now, some of his associates that they ran this scheme together was his brother, his daughter, and two of his sons. Okay. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commissions of the United States of America investigated his company several times and they could not find nothing on him. Nothing. This man was a genius, and that's how come they call him the Wizard of Lies. And majority of his close associates, like I mentioned, his brother and his children working closely with him, they did not even know that this man was running a Ponzi scheme. Now, he privately called his sons and told them, you know what? The asset management arm of our company is a Ponzi scheme. Okay? We're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. So, this put a lot of fear in his sons. You know, back-to-back investigations by the Securities and Exchange Commissions. On December 10th, 2008, his sons confessed to the authorities. You know what? Our father told us in confidence that the asset management company that is running is a Ponzi scheme. Then full-blown investigation took place, and eventually on the 29th of June 2009, you know, he was arrested and sentenced to 150 years in jail. He eventually died April the 14th, 2021. Bernie Madoff ran the most successful Ponzi scheme ever. That is why I laugh when a lot of people say that, you know, Victor, you said that this thing is a Ponzi scheme. You said it in your video 2 years ago. The platform is still paying till now. Bernie Madoff ran his Ponzi scheme for almost 2 decades. Now, longevity is not a sign of legitimacy. That somebody has been a criminal for a long time without the long arm of the law catching up with him or her does not make them legitimate. Okay? So let's stop making that mistake. Now, asset management arm of Bernie Madoff Investment Securities was the Ponzi. So, number 4 on our list, Ponzi Hall of Shame, is Bernie Madoff. Now, coming in at number 5 is the last but not least. Okay? And I know that you all know him. He's called Sergey Makarov. Now, you all know him, the founder of MMM. MMM was founded in 1989. Okay, and because of financial regulations in different countries, you see him taking a scheme from country to country, country to country. It collapses in this country, he goes to another country. Okay, MMM India, MMM China, MMM Russia, MMM South Africa, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and all that. Now, Mavrodi was trying to outsmart the authorities. He said, okay, I want to run a platform, and the financial regulatory bodies always want you to register with them. Now, if you don't register with them, they tag what you are doing as illegal. Okay, so now he is saying donation cannot be illegal. Voluntary donation cannot be illegal. So this is a common group of people who have decided to give their monies freely to another person. Why should the authorities frown at that? He was trying to outsmart the authority, outsmart the law. So he was running his Ponzi scheme like a cash gifting donation Ponzi. A gives to B voluntarily, not under any form of duress. Okay, and he ran this Ponzi scheme from country to country, collapsing at different times. And in 1998, he launched StockGeneration.com, a virtual stock market game promising 200% profits, virtual trade with real money. But the thing is that he stated it clearly on the website that this is not a real stock market exchange. But people, because of greed, they still fell for it. How did Sergey Mavrodi die? He died at a bus station, waiting for a bus. He had a cardiac arrest and he died. It was even MMM investors that contributed money to bury him because he was a poor man. Now, let us conclude this video by, mentioning out of these 5 people, those that had unique attributes. Let us mention them. Adele Spitzer, strong woman, the first person to run a Ponzi scheme. She was a strong woman. Notable mention. Charles Ponzi, notable mention, because of course the scheme is named after him. So he is a notable mention. Let's give him that respect. Bernie Madoff, the wizard of lies, financial genius. Lots of respect for that man, man. He ran a very successful Ponzi scheme. That man was a genius when it comes to robbing Peter to pay Paul. Then again, let's now talk about Sergey Mavrodi. Sergey Mavrodi, the model he operated was a community-based model. He claimed to be a humanitarian person, that, he's not thinking about himself. MMM did not have a central account. The money is not coming to me. I'm just trying to create a complex mathematical algorithm that would favor you people. So, technically speaking, or from what we know, the money was not going to Sergey Mavrodi himself. Okay? So, he said he was a humanitarian scammer. Okay? So, and again, another thing that we need to talk about when it comes to Sergey Mavrodi was his honesty. Sergey Mavrodi never sugarcoated MMM. This is a cash donation Ponzi. There is no investment. He didn't come to say, oh, I have a crypto robot or a forex robot or I'm doing arbitrage like Charles Ponzi did, lying that he was doing postage arbitrage. No. Sergey Mavrodi was straightforward. A transparent scammer. That was what he was. Cash donation Ponzi. Peter agrees to be robbed willingly, handing over his money to Paul. Not under duress. In fact, in MMM, then they used to ask, are you sure you want to donate this money? Are you sure? You would tick a box that you agree that you willingly donated the money. Okay? So, Sergey Mavrodi did not hide anything. Okay? Even when he ran StockGeneration.com, it was on the website. He said, this is not real stock exchange, oh. Yet, people still fell for it. So these are the legends of Ponzi. So if you're making money from Ponzi schemes, know those who started Ponzi scheme and know that Ponzi is not new. It has been around for a long time and it will continually be around. For as long as you and I continue to be lazy and greedy, there will be Ponzi schemes springing up here and there. But all these 5 legends of Ponzi that I mentioned, their end was not good. They died poor and lonely. Okay? Despite that they made some good money from the Ponzi scheme that they ran, they died poor and, lonely. Because you don't scam that much people. You don't bring tears to the eyes of all those people. Throw children out of school, make people homeless and hungry, and you expect that your end will be well. No, it doesn't happen like that. Karma still exists, doesn't it? Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with other people who are doing Ponzi schemes and warn them that Ponzi is not really a good thing to promote. Give this video a like so that the YouTube algorithm will recommend it to more and more people. Till I see you in another video, I remain Victor Isibo. It's bye for now.